Hey guys, so in today's video we're gonna learn how to make a quick walk cycle for a game character, and in this case I have this lich character that I've been working on, and this is the final result. As you can see, it's pretty basic, but you know, it works, and oftentimes you'll find yourself that you need to animate something quick but you don't have a rig, or you don't have the resources and you just want to get it done and just good enough. So this is the tutorial for you if this is something you're interested in. Hope you enjoy. And of course later on we'll do tutorials when there's like proper rigs and food rigs and everything, but in this case it had to be done quick, so I thought I'll share with you. All right, enjoy. So I have this little thing that will load my character and assemble it from legs and torso, separate skeletons, and we'll do like a quick rig, which, it's very simple, but I'm just trying to keep it simple for this. Either way, it still applies because the animation principles are the same. So I'm just going to show my skeleton because otherwise I won't be able to do this. And I just want my walk cycle to be maybe 40 frames long, so I'm just going to set 40 here. First thing I want to do is select all the joints and controls I'll be animating and just select set members. So normally what I would do, I'll basically just go through the rig, select everything that I want to animate, and create a quick select set, QSS animation or something. Then that allows me to right click and select it right away. So keying is easy. So I can go to like the first frame and I can start at 1 or I can start at 0. It's really here it's important to make sure you're in the right setting. I want 30 FPS because it's for game. So S, S. I set the first and last frame, um, and then I can just save this as my animation scene walk cycle. Okay, here we go. So let's start doing it. So the first thing is I want to grab an IK controller for the foot and move it forward. Now this is a knee controller, so that one will just move forward a little bit, and this one I'm going to bring back. So I have like a very simple IK setup here. Then what I want to do is bring my character pelvis down, and for that one I'm just going to animate the pelvis bone because I don't really have a control. I'm just not sure why this is not animating. Oh, okay, you don't have to worry about it, but basically I have disabled my following here. So your rig will probably not have that issue. But basically now I have this setup where when I move the COG, the character is just moving down. So that's the first pose I'm going to hit. And I want to, in this case, I can move it in or out. I don't want it to be too big of a step. So there's a balance to strike here where I just kind of want to have like a small step, but not too small, so it reads. And then I can rotate this up slightly as it's stepping. And this one, I want to rotate it down. Now, obviously, I want to have some kind of a plane for reference. So I'm just going to make a plane. I'm just going to make it like that. And I think that would be nice to have here because I don't really have it. It would be to see the texture. So for that one, I'm just going to load the texture because for some reason this rig is not having the texture. So I'm just going to load the diffuse texture. Okay, now I can see better. So in this case, I can just rotate it back slightly and maybe do a little bit of this. And I have auto key on, just so you know. So whenever I move something, the key is being set. So that's really helpful. And okay, so that looks like a decent first pose. Now another thing that I want to do here is bring that arm down. And arms I'm just animating in FK mode. So that I don't even animate controls because I just don't have time to make them for this particular case. If I wanted to, I would build a rig or use some kind of an auto rigger, but in this case, I just want a simple, quick walk cycle. And the characters in this game are very small, so no one really sees things until we zoom in. Okay, so I'm posing those hands, and you can see that what's happening here. Okay, so there's a little bit of that going on. Maybe I shouldn't do that, but I'll do that a little bit, or I could just rotate this. But for the elbow, it's usually good not to bend it in the directions that it's not supposed to bend. And we could maybe tilt him forward a little bit, and then just go slightly forward with the clavicle. And so that could be an okay pose. Okay, so I'm not animating this one because that one's actually animated by that control. Okay. So I have my key set. So I'm going to select all the members and just set the key here. Then I'm going to middle drag and put it in the end here and set another key there. So I have my two keys, the beginning and the end. Then I'm going to just middle drag it and put it on the middle there. So frame 21, and that will need to be reversed basically. So I'll just bring it back and I'll have to do the same thing with the leg, like what I did there. And the nice thing about it is that I don't really have to make it perfect because it's going to be more interesting if it's not the same, unless I'm really going for no foot sliding, then I have to be more precise. But again, this is not the kind of game. So yeah, this is fine. So let's just do that. And then I'll have to reverse my arms, and that's when some mirroring poses would be nice, but we don't have that feature here, so I'm just gonna animate it like that. So here we go. Here we have our pose, and we just have to go ahead and yeah, just pose that arm a little differently, maybe so it goes back a little more, and but that's basically the same pose. So here I'm not doing anything too crazy. I can try to reduce that a little bit. Maybe bring that one up a little bit. Okay, so let's see now. So that's basically what I get. So you can play it already and see what's happening. So that's looking really very basic and there's no movement there. So now the next thing I would do, I would just go here in the middle. I'll grab the pelvis and then raise it up here. So whenever the character's stepping here, the pelvis is going up. Okay, something like this. You don't want to overstretch it, but yeah. So that's the kind of thing. Now, can you raise this pelvis up here a little more? You can, and make sure there's no knee popping, but you can. So that's going to help you. So we're going to set the key here and then move it down and set the key there with middle drag. Now here we have this pelvis like that, so let's also set that key here. Okay, so now we have something like this. Now here, grab this key and set it in the middle there. So just something we're gonna get here. So now we have something like this, where the character is kind of bouncing. Right, so that's not looking the worst, but it's still very, very generic. Also, this arm is kind of swinging wildly out. I don't like that. Maybe we need to just put a key here. Okay, so I have a feeling that it's a little bit weird, and the reason why it's so weird is because there's probably a gimbal lock. So if we go to Graph Editor, you can select those curves here. Curves, Euler filter, and I'll remove the gimbal lock, hopefully. It didn't, but it should. Um, let's see. You could animate it in. Yeah, there's definitely a gimbal lock on that one. Curves, Euler filter. No, it doesn't want to do that. I think it might come from here. Did I do something there? I think I'm animating the clavicle too aggressively. Okay, that's weird. I'm not sure what's happening here. Let's just go to gimbal mode. If I delete that key, what's happening here? So I have some kind of a... So this looks better than that. But that frame's the same. If I go to local mode, then we can maybe change that a little bit so it's more like that to start with. Maybe that will transition better. Okay, there's definitely something funky here, which annoys me. I don't see a gimbal log though. So maybe I'll just delete those keys from that clavicle because they're not serving us well here. Yeah. There's nothing going on here. Sometimes it's best to just kill the key and just go from there like that. Let's see. Okay, I'm just gonna bring it in still. Yeah, that's fine. Let's just keep it this way for now. We also have a problem that this is kind of going out here, so we're just gonna bring it in. Okay. Okay, so here we go. We have something going on. Now, what's the next thing that we want to add? So, like, the thing is, we definitely want to add a little bit of movement here. So we can just bring this down now. And we can maybe bring it down even here, actually. Oh, I'm animating the wrong thing. So this is the IK thing I need to animate. So just bring it down like that. Okay, there. So like that will bring it down. Now here, I might want to. Okay, so this is kind of like overstretching here a little. We might want to just make it a little bit like that. And then here, maybe that's the key we want. Just a little further. There. Now, then that's the key we have, and then we just gonna, so here, we don't want it to just go forward like that. We actually want it to go up and out, more like this. And then as he's stepping here, I'm gonna bring it slightly in and rotate it like that. So that will kind of give this, now here, we want to rotate it out a little. And here we can just do a little bit of that. So that will kind of help us have a nicer step, as you can see. Now, another thing that we want to do here is we want to just bring it down here. So it's like actually stepping down. And that's looking quite nice. So we have something like that going on. So it's a better step, maybe a little bit too exaggerated with how much this is going up, so maybe lower. Now here you might want to bring it down at this stage and in. Okay, see, so you get a little bit of the flap. All right, now you could potentially either raise him up in this pose or um, bring his knee up a little bit. Now we also have to be careful to not have the clipping here because that's something that's going to show in game. So that's something that we'll have to prevent. How do we prevent it? We need some kind of a corrective control here to get it going, or we can try adjust the knee position. Yeah, So adjusting the knee position will help it. And then we have no clipping. All right, so that's cool. So that's something. Now we can do the same for the other foot. So like, let's just have a look here. Um, so like, yeah, so here we have a step. Now this needs to go down here and also rotate down. So we don't want to overstretch it too much because it's a tight balance here. So stepping might actually want to bring this down a little bit earlier. Now here, we don't want it to rotate it too far already. And here we want it to go up and like that to kind of kick a little bit. Like this, perfect. And then here, I want to bring it in a little when they're passing each other. And here we, again, we want to just rotate it out. We can copy that key here. And then, yeah, so that's the something we can do. So we have something like that. Now, here I think we need to rotate this in a little. So it's going to be better. And get that a little bit kick out. Yeah, see, so that's a little bit more interesting. So that's already starting to look pretty good. Now we have to handle that one. So that one steps. I say here we kind of have to kick back. Now here I would say bring it up. And here bring it down. Something like this. So that's looking interesting. Okay. So that's a quick animation here for the walking. Now the next thing I want to do is like moving side to side because as he's passing the legs, there needs to be some kind of a weight shift so we can just move it a little bit like that. So he's kind of doing a little bit of this and then here he's going to be doing a little bit of that. So you see what I mean? And if it's different, it's cool because it's then more interesting slightly. Okay, so there you go. So that's something. Then another thing like we can potentially do here is we just grab his upper body a little bit and do a little bit of a compensation for this weight shift. So we can just do a little bit of that. And then here we can do a little bit of this. You know, that's usually what people do when they walk, believe it or not. Okay, so that's a little bit interesting. Maybe it's moving a little bit too much. But it is something. Now, another thing that we want to probably do is some kind of a nice offset on those hands. And those hands are not great still, so we need to rotate them. We could rotate them using the clavicle actually, like just like this maybe. So yeah, we're gonna get a little bit of that rotation there. So that's something that's more interesting. Now, here we want to drag that a little bit. So this elbow here, as it's moving forward, we want to actually bring it slightly back and rotate it slightly. I know it's cheating, but we can. And then here, as it's moving back, we want to bend it a little. So that's kind of making it dragging a little bit. So something like, you know, more organic. Now here we can do the same thing there, where, you know, here we're just going to bend it as it's moving back. Oh, sorry, that's the wrong joint. This one, bend it as it's moving back. And then here we're going to straighten it. Yeah, so you see what I mean? Now this arm is kind of like swinging over, but this one is not. So let's do that for this one too. Just swing it a little. This one, you can just kind of do that a little bit. Actually, no, I don't want to do it here, sorry. Here, I want to swing it inside there. So that will be probably more interesting. So I can do a little bit because I don't want to bring the hand too close to the body because then it's going to clip, especially if there's like some kind of a weapon or something. So I'm just going to do a little bit of that. And here I can also bring it a little bit closer. So we're going to get something like this. Okay. We could animate the hands too to drag a little bit more. Another thing that we can do is add a little bit of a bend forward here. in two joints. So as he's stepping down, we're gonna have now here, we're gonna have a little bit of a bend. So something like this. And then here he stepped again and it's raising up. So here is another bend like that. And I will add a little bit of that step, but then also like we might need to tweak those curves because they're a little bit junky. So maybe we delete those keys here so they don't go too soon to that bounce back state. So that's looking better. So that's something that we already can potentially work with. Another thing we can add is a little bit of rotation in that torso, maybe on this joint or maybe the whole thing, or maybe just the chest, or maybe a little bit offset everywhere. So I can just rotate it slightly here and rotate it slightly there. So something like this, yeah. So that's looking a little bit better. It's a little bit bouncy and aggressive, and there's a big bounce here. So I feel like I might have overdone it a little bit. Set the key here, delete the key here. Maybe just decrease it a little bit. Let's see how that feels. Yeah, so there's some kind of a pop. So let's see if our first and last frame, yeah, so here there's going down. Here there's very slight going down. So I feel like if I delete this key, yeah, that was it. So maybe that has to be a little bit more mellow. Yeah, so let's see if now it's a little bit, yeah, so that's a little bit more mellow. That's actually feeling pretty good. You could animate the fingers, you could polish it up. Obviously, you want to preview it with 39 because you don't want to repeat the first and last frame. I could play with the knees a little bit because they're kind of going out too much for this one. So that knee is going really out. I'm not sure why is it going that far out. Is it because I want to prevent that clipping? Oh yeah, that was why. Okay, I guess there's not much I can do there until I add some corrective joints, which I don't have in this one. Okay, let's just do something like this. That's fine. So yeah, from distance this will look pretty good. And the speed is okay. You could maybe change the speed of the whole thing, but yeah, you can just save it and export it. So at this stage, I'm just going to save this. And I have a script here which will export me the animation. In this case, all I have to do is just do anim object, export animation. Export anim? I don't remember. No. Let's see what it's called. It's called export animation. Okay, that's nice. So we can just export animation. If I run it, boom. Okay, I think I need to use the object for that. Okay, so that's going to export me the FBXs. Two FBXs, one for torso, one for legs, for this character. Animation, just do walk cycle. Okay, and then select directory, and I just exported it. Okay. So basically what I end up with here is two anim clips that I can bring into engine. So if I have a look at the torso, it just basically looks like this. And if I have a look at the legs, they have this. So this is something like I particularly have in my pipeline, that I have legs and torso separate because maybe I want to switch the type of legs or switch the type of torso that the character is going to have and combine different animations, like depending on what kind of legs the character has. But the principles are the same. All you need is an FBX with all the animation baked onto joints, and now you can bring it into engine. So that's going to be the next step, bring it into the engine and integrating it. Other than that, it's the end of this video. Sorry it was a little bit clunky there, but I hope you enjoyed it. See you in the next one. We'll get better with time. All right, so in the end, I ended up adding a little bit more follow through on the hands and reducing a little bit of that arm movement because it was a little bit too much. And yeah, the character, I'm showing him with the ambient occlusion with a little bit better model than what we've been working on, but it's basically the same stuff. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, please like and subscribe and support me on Patreon.